My name is Sheila Star, and my mother's side is the Tyrant House clan. My father is the Black Sheep clan. My maternal grandfather is the Minigoats clan, and my paternal grandfather is the Salt clan, and that's who I am as a woman. And I was born in Redlands, California, and was raised in Howell Mesa, Arizona.
There, artist Sheila Star grew up with her grandmother, a Diné elder who taught her the traditional ways.
She would get up really, really early before the sun. She would always be walking from one family to another and visiting them early in the morning and having coffee with them and everything. But before she went walking, she would, go outside and pray. And that one time I asked her, I said, "What are you doing?" I was talking to her in Navajo. I was asking her, "What are you doing?" And she was saying that she was praying. And then she was telling me, "This is what you need to do. This is what you need to start doing." This is the bald eagle feather, and the smooth side of the feather is the spirit side. And then the rough side of the feather is the education, the knowledge side. Usually when I ask a question, like to my elders, they would say, "It just is." My first drink was in 8th grade, and that was at school. And I had a friend of mine who brought, whiskey to school, and she wanted somebody to drink with, so I volunteered, and we both got drunk. So that was my first experience, and after that I didn't drink for another probably like 2 years. Even during high school, I hardly ever drank. I went to parties and stuff, but I hardly ever drank. But I did, get pregnant at a young age, and I ended up with, my first husband at the time, and had 2 kids with him. And so after that, we stayed together for about 9, almost 10 years. And then after that, that's when I took my second drink again. I was really abused during that time also, being married to this person. And I guess couldn't endure it. And then I believed what he said. So a lot of those things that I believed what he told me I was, I drank over all of that. For the first time, I ended up in jail for 4 days. And when I was in jail, I was ashamed. I felt a lot of guilt. I was scared. I felt a lot of pain and hurt, not only for myself, but for my kids. And on the 3rd day, my daughter came, my second oldest daughter, she came to visit me. And I couldn't run no more. I couldn't just ignore her. I couldn't just, do what I used to do. I had to sit there and listen to her. So she cried, and she said all the things that she wanted to say to me. I just kind of put all of that together and just finally put it in my heart and decided, I'm not going to drink no more. And that's what I just wanted it like that, because I didn't want my kids to hurt no more.
Sheila came to Tucson to begin her recovery and build a new life.
I relied on my tradition. I just used all of that, what my grandmother taught me, my grandfather taught me, and what they used to talk to me. And I started really listening to them, and what, it was just like I was a child again. And I could just hear their voice, through the wind, and I could hear them, being happy and feeling happy.
As she recovered, she met Ray Matias Sr., a member of the Tohono O'odham Nation, on his own journey of recovery. They talked about the suffering they saw among American Indians in Tucson and how they might be able to help.
Good morning, everyone. I wanted to welcome each and every one of you here to the circle. This is a talking circle that we're doing this morning. I would say about a month or 2. going into all of this, we both had a dream.
And these spirit runners were
And
painted all in white.
I dreamed,
They took them from the sun, and they were tied. They
you know,
had a
about
legal
Creator
like this, and they tied it
and
to their
how He
wrist.
needed help.
And they told him
And
to
there
run
was a
to the
lot
north,
of
run to the
people
east,
out there
run
that
to
are
the
in need
south,
of help,
run to the west.
all the way from the children, all the way to,
I couldn't do it
you
on my
know,
own.
their parents, grandparents.
Especially with alcohol. Alcohol is the one that put me down to the bottom, and I couldn't get out. And I knew I needed help to get out.
We need to all come back together and come back to our traditions and our culture and our language. You know, all of these things, we started thinking about all of this and how some of it is lost in certain families. We started thinking and trying to implement some kind of program to kind of tie in all of that together. And so that's how we ended up with that One Sacred Nation healing.
I woke up on time. I actually got some sleep. And I beat the sun, and I actually watched it come up over the horizon. You know, and then with that...
Word spread about Ray and Sheila's program, and demand for their services grew.
And then all of a sudden...
Now the pair serves 200 to 300 people each week. They volunteer most of their services.
We're doing it from our hearts. And we know what it's like being an alcoholic, being an addict.
Traditional practices help people come home to themselves, Sheila says.
The question, why am I? Or where am I going? Who am I? And not a lot of them, you know, ever sat down and really thought about that for themselves. And so when they do that and they start questioning and they start wanting to learn and they start, you know, I wonder if I have a clan.
On earth as it is in heaven, give us this day our daily bread.
It all comes from the Spirit. Because if you don't know who you are and where you're coming from, the Spirit is unbalanced. And so when they get that knowledge back into them, that's when they mend their spirit. And that's when, you know, the Spirit is free again.
Showing others the way to freedom has brought Sheila the peace she spent a lifetime chasing.
It just changed my life a lot. I just can't even describe how much it's changed to where, I mean, I just feel free now. I've never felt like this before, not ever in my life. And this is what my grandmother and my grandfather taught me. This is where I always hear from them, you know, when I'm in my dream or when I'm outside praying, that you are doing a good job because this is where you needed to be all this time, but you're finally here and it's okay.